when I was in Korea, I was watching LCK while I'm playing solo queue, right? It starts at like 5 p.m. And if Kyria locks in Ornn with Senna, my support in the very same game I'm playing in, that next game, will be hovering Ornn and saying, ADC, can Senna? Asking me to play Senna for him so you can play Ornn like Kyria. Like, people want to be like the LCK pros. That is true. And like, you go to the bus stop, I see fucking Chovy's face on the bus sign. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? You go to T1's facility for a tour for content with C9, and I see 50 girls outside T1's facility for Kyria's birthday. Like, these people are like, they're superstars in Korea. So obviously, like, their tier 2 system and their challenger system, academy, whatever they call it, rookies, some teams call it, and it's better because there's a huge incentive to be a pro player in those regions. Meanwhile, our tier 2 has slowly gotten worse and worse over the years. I'm sure Cubby can agree. And this is like gonna be a big problem because this like the Masus, the Busios, the Meeches, the Yawns, the APAs, it's gonna be like the last wave of NA pros that we're gonna get, right? And some of these players are very liked, and AP and Yawn won LCS in their second split, I think, together.
Second and
So
third, yeah.
yeah, for APA second and Yawn third. So like, it's a shame that like we're hindering our own tier 2.
Thank you so much for saying this, Sven, because like it drives me crazy. We did an episode of Hotline League 2 weeks ago, I think, where we talked a lot about the problems that are happening in tier 2 with players just giving up and all this stuff. And a lot of the comments were less like, "Oh, I can't watch Hotline League anymore. They just talk about tier 2 too much or whatever. No one cares about tier 2." And it's like very disheartening for me because I feel as though, one, I don't think we talk about tier 2 very much at all on the show. In fact, it's a meme. But two, it's aggravating because people don't understand that like that is the foundation for the league, and with that basically being in shambles, like it's just that I think might be the biggest, when people want to talk about LCS is going to die or LCS is dying or whatever, I truly think that is what is the biggest threat to the existence of the league long term right now.
It is. So. I've always said that the way you are able to emulate the culture that you have in Korea and China is you have to put this game in every high school across the country. Like, that's the only way you can actually.
All right, Cubby, we're going off in a different direction now.
No, it's still bottom up build. It is still bottom up build. Like, that's how you start there. Then you get college, you get tier 2, and then you get LCS.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just know you always go on this platform, and we're venturing into the tier 2 section. We're not heading into tier 3 yet.
That is how this works, though.
That is unfathomably based, Cubby.
Yes.
I feel like we went on a big tangent here, and we haven't even talked about the guys who came in here with his take.
Green's take was about your take, though, Sven. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're back. Shit, bro. I was like completely like.
No, it happens on Hotline League all the time. It is fun.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I just I don't know how to solve it. Zven, how would you solve it? What do you think?
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna pretend I know shit about like business and like how profitable the LCS is or isn't, or like how tier 2 is not watched by people and therefore isn't profitable. Like, I'm not gonna pretend I know anything about this. I can only tell you the problem is that the league isn't gonna be more interesting by import. It's like, look at LSC, right? They're importing these like what's his name? Something to SC Gaming.
Rahel and HH. From
yeah, now Rahel I know, yeah, but the other guy, like, who? They have like huge ERLs that like people are hyped already to watch this guy Kalista next year in KC, probably, right?
Yes.
No one gives a fuck about this guy, SKHH. Who? You know what I'm saying? And like, we're gonna go that path soon as well. We're gonna get random people from random regions, probably Korean challengers.
Yes.
And our league will just be unrecognizable at some point. And not to mention that Korean players don't even do that well in NA. I feel like. For every Berserker, every CoJJ, every Impact you get someone that's very mediocre who doesn't do very well. And then not to mention that the best teams NA has ever had, like C9's best team was full American, if I'm not mistaken. I guess with Jensen, who's at this point he should be American, I guess. And like EU's best team ever was a 5 European team, right? Both Fnatic and G2, 2019 and 18. I just don't think it's the way to go. I guess like we do have some talent in both EU and NA that can actually, do something if you give them the right tools. So if FR Tier 2 dies completely, it's just gonna be like no more Masters, Buzios, Yawns, APAs, and yeah, that's sad. That APA a year ago wasn't even in the LCS, and in a year from now he wouldn't even be given a chance to play because his league wouldn't exist anymore.
I mean,
maybe who knows?
One of the
His
things
chance.
One of the things that we didn't talk about in that episode a couple of weeks ago, but you kind of touched on here, Zven, is like I get frustrated because I think a lot of like the LCS and a lot of the team owners decided like, oh, we aren't going to support tier 2. But what they're really doing is just outsourcing LCS development to the Korean teams. like just have the LCK teams support their tier 2 system, and then we'll just take talent from that. And it's it's crazy. I feel like Riot Global should care about this, because like if teams and regions feel like they don't need to run tier 2 anymore because they could just tap into other regions tier 2s, like what are we doing? That seems very unhealthy.
Sorry, can I go?
Yeah.
I want to say on that thing you said about the Koreans, like we will never get Korean imports that are better than like the Pace and the Gumayusis, So you will just be importing players they don't want anyways, because I'm almost guaranteeing you that all Challenger players in Korea would rather play LCK than LCS if they could choose. Most likely. At this point, the pay isn't even different, I think, honestly, So all you're gonna get is someone who's worse than their first choice of Challenger to LCK. So why not just take a rookie from Academy? He could be good, who knows?
Yeah. I know when EG got JoJo, right? And like this for me is the metric of which tier 2 should be judged off of. Because I know, like Sven, like you mentioned, like viewership and support directly. Like, I mean, obviously you need things to make money to work. Riot has made sure that everything is break even with their leagues across the world. We've seen a narrowing of that. But from a team perspective, when JoJo was promoted into EG, they were between JoJo or Humanoid. The difference of that contract would have practically paid for their academy team for the upcoming year. That is the metric of success that these teams, like that's why we should be investing into tier 2. So it can be a cost-saving measure like when things were really big. Now, it's also you are getting a direct chance to mold success. You get to see these players act like pros when they were out in LA, live the full schedule, do everything a pro does, just at a secondary level. Like, that is the ideal way to find the talent you want to work with. And you were 100% right that if you were importing, you were getting second pickings. Lucid is not coming to NA, right? He's playing for D+. Like, that's always going to happen. The fact that Thanatos is even coming here, I find fucking crazy. Like, that is, like, I mean, that is a steal, right? But that still is, like, he's rejected from the system, right? And the fact that, like, this is happening and we are just nuking the tier 2s and we're just going to take the leftovers elsewhere, where like you also are not even factoring the culture gap, the fact you have to learn a different language when you come over here. Like, League is a team game. This is like another battle that you are going to have to face when you are taking players that are being rejected by their own system, when you can just build up your own and have players that don't have to fight that either. Like, it blows my mind that teams just gave up on this, because I feel like it is a huge competitive advantage. Like, it was not brought up with FlyQuest. Like, no one is talking about the changes being made with FlyQuest. Like, they have a challengers team that was number 1 and was quite good, I feel like in past seasons, like we saw C9 make changes with their challengers teams. We saw teams make changes with their challengers teams. That's how TL was actually able to function as a team. That's how this roster kind of came to be. They promoted players internally and then put pieces around them as well. This is the rest of the teams giving up on this is crazy to me. I feel like it just shows a lack of investment and a lack of faith in themselves. The fact that they just quit on this project. I find it ballistic.